What if everything you thought you knew was a lie? What if the real story wasn't told on the red carpet but silenced behind NDA letters, courtroom whispers, and billion-dollar reputations? This isn't just Hollywood drama, this is a cover-up. A reckoning, and a battle for the truth, and it all starts right now. Hey, I'm Alex, and welcome to Alex and Trend. It's been months in the making, and now finally the trailer for the explosive documentary. It ends with justice being released. But make no mistake, this isn't just another Hollywood project with polished edits and promotional fluff. This is a battle cry, a cinematic reckoning aimed squarely at one of the most tightly controlled narratives in recent entertainment history, the feud between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, and the truths that may have been buried beneath glittering headlines and well-placed smiles. To the casual observer, it may appear that the war is over. The tabloids tell us that Blake Lively won, that a judge dismissed Baldoni's defamation suit, that the legal threat has passed, and that everything else is simply sour grapes. But the creators of It Ends with Justice say otherwise. They argue that what you've seen, what you've been shown, is not the whole picture, that the story sold to the public is a masterclass in public relations, not a reflection of the complex and often disturbing reality that lies beneath. This documentary dares to confront what others want, that the dismissal of a legal case does not mean guilt or innocence was proven, and that in a system where money, influence, and media connections can shape public perception, the truth can be lost or even deliberately erased. It Ends with Justice is not a puff piece, it's a challenge. It's a mirror held up to the Hollywood machine, and what it reveals is as uncomfortable as it is urgent. According to those behind the film, there is a calculated spin campaign operating at full force, one designed not only to protect reputations but to actively discredit dissent, suppress alternative viewpoints, and silence uncomfortable questions. It suggests that Blake Lively's public image, the smiling celebrity, mother, fashion icon, and empowered businesswoman, has been used as a shield, a weapon, and a mask. The film claims that behind the scenes of it ending with U.S. tensions running high, boundaries were crossed and decisions were made that left scars, emotional, professional, and possibly legal, from the very beginning. Whispers of trouble plagued the production. Allegations surfaced that Lively had clashed with Baldoni not just over creative differences, but over her portrayal, her postpartum body, and her authority on set. Rumors swirled about microaggressions, ego battles, and quiet resentment, all hidden behind PR gloss. Some say Lively used her influence to control key elements off the production, manipulating cuts and messaging to fit a narrative that benefited her public persona. Others argued that Baldoni, under immense pressure and scrutiny, was pushed to the margins, painted as the villain in a story where the lines between fact and fabrication had already been blurred. The documentary goes further, drawing from insider interviews, court documents, and unnamed sources to suggest that the truth may have been actively suppressed, that behind the headlines and legal maneuvers there were efforts to erase nuance, eliminate doubt, and rewrite events before the public could question them. Why was there so little mainstream media coverage of Baldoni's counterclaims? Why did so many platforms rush to label Lively the victor without examining the evidence? Why did so many of the crew and creative team remain silent, refusing to speak publicly about what happened on set? The film argues that the silence isn't accidental, it's strategic, and that the entertainment industry, with its hierarchies, loyalties, and unspoken rules, has created an environment where speaking out can cost you your career. This battle is not just about two actors, it's about power, who holds it, who abuses it, and who gets protected when the cameras are off and the deals are signed. It's about a system that elevates image over integrity, performance over truth. The filmmakers want you to question why a simple dismissal of a lawsuit was celebrated so loudly by the press, while the content of the claims, the context, the complications, the questions were swept aside. They want you to wonder why certain narratives are platformed while others are buried, why celebrity branding is prioritized over accountability, and most of all, they want you to ask yourself, what don't they want us to see? This is not just a film, it's a challenge to the status quo, it's a rebellion against selective storytelling, it's a plea for nuance in a world obsessed with simplicity, and it begins with exposing the myth that this legal battle is over. According to It Ends with Justice, it has only just begun, and the real war isn't being fought in court anymore, it's being fought in the shadows, in boardrooms, in demons, and threatened NDA letters, and in carefully curated headlines that quietly erase inconvenient facts. It's being fought in silence and in the courage of those who refuse to stay silent any longer. If the trailer for It Ends with Justice was a warning shot, then part 2 of this unfolding narrative is the Den Nation, and unrelenting, deeply uncomfortable. Dive into the tangled web of allegations, emotional trauma, conflicting accounts, and unanswered questions that the public was never meant to see, and it all begins on the very set of It Ends With Us, where what was supposed to be a passion project about resilience and survival allegedly turned into a battlefield of control, silence, and image management. According to the documentary's revelations, tensions between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni exploded far beyond creative disagreements, beginning instead with deeply personal and painful rifts, particularly surrounding Lively's reported discomfort over her postpartum body, a reality that insiders say was used as both a shield and a sword in negotiations, script revisions, and on-set decisions, where Lively allegedly demanded creative authority over not just the tone of the film but the very optics of how she would appear on screen, and those who resisted that control. The documentary claims were either pushed aside or ignored, but this isn't just a story about vanity or vulnerability, it's about the emotional weight of power and how it shifts when one person holds the public sympathy card, the marketing leverage, and the media spotlight. And as the documentary makes clear, those early emotional tremors led to aftershocks that would rock the entire production, because what followed next wasn't a negotiation, it was a quiet war for the soul of the film and for the reputations of the two central figures driving it. In one of the most controversial sequences in the trailer, the filmmakers examined the launch of Lively's alcohol-themed business campaign tied directly to It Ends With Us, asking how a story rooted in domestic violence inspired by author Colleen Hoover's personal experiences became a launch pad for sparkling mixers and lifestyle branding, with some interviewees in the film calling it tone-deaf, while others argue it was calculated, a move that, whether intentional or not, blurred the line between awareness and commodification, a theme that runs deep throughout the documentary and which Baldoni's team reportedly saw as a betrayal of the film's core message. But that's only the beginning, because behind the promotional posters and social media fanfare were rumblings that Lively had quietly but firmly taken control of the edit, pushing for changes to the film's final cut, tone, and character arcs in ways that, according to multiple insiders, shifted the emotional impact of the story and minimized male perspectives, particularly Baldoni's directorial vision. And it's here where the film turns from concerning to incendiary, because it's at this point that a legal complaint emerges filed by Lively and alleging misconduct and harassment, to claim that sent shockwaves through the production and triggered a media frenzy that some argue conveniently painted Baldwin as the aggressor, without public disclosure of the evidence, without internal HR confirmation, and without testimony from key witnesses who have to this day remained silent or unreachable. And the documentary doesn't shy away from asking. There is a haunting sequence in the trailer where an anonymous voice claims, "We weren't allowed to talk, we weren't allowed to question the narrative. If we did, would be labeled as toxic or worse." That chilling admission, 747, sets the tone for the rest of the film, because the silence surrounding this controversy isn't just awkward, it's deafening, and the documentary suggests that this silence was not only enforced but incentivized, with certain crew members allegedly offered contracts or pressured into NDA letters that prevented them from sharing their perspectives, while others stayed quiet simply out of fear of losing jobs, fear of being blacklisted, fear of being accused of defending the wrong side. And that fear, according to the film, has led to a distorted truth, where the public is only given one version of events, one crafted image, one sculpted narrative that protects certain reputations while leaving others in ruins. The emotional toll of this saga is immense, and not just for the central figures involved, it extends to the crew, the creatives, and even the fans, many of whom feel betrayed by the idea that a film about domestic violence could be used for personal gain, or that its message could be compromised by behind-the-scenes power struggles that had nothing to do with the story and everything to do with image control. And the most devastating part, the documentary claims, is that in the rush to defend one party, the conversation about abuse, trauma, and healing was lost, completely swallowed up by legal jargon and celebrity gossip, while the real victims, those who saw themselves in the story of